As many members will know, I come from a background in the food business, and the issues of good food is one that is close to my heart. I must commend the work of the committee in examining this bill and allowing us to now debate its merit. The stated aims of this bill is its policy memorandum sound very novel: to commit to Scotland producing, selling and eating good food, to see dietary diseases in decline, to encourage healthy and environmentally sound food productions. However, what we have before us lacks significant details, even when we take into consideration that this is a framework bill. As the committee's report notes, Scottish ministers have admitted that they did not have to legislate the create good food plans for Scotland, but they wanted to give the plans teeth. We're therefore left to wonder why are the ways in which the Good Food Nation plans may be not made clearer in the bill. I agree with the Scottish Food Coalition assessment that there should be, at the very least, be a purpose on the face of this bill. That purpose should ensure the right to food as one of the first principles. When it comes to good food, surely all else must flow from that. That's because even more relevant given the cost of living crisis people now face. But there could also be some much more. The Scottish Food Coalition also suggests including objectives based around the UN's Sustainable Development Goals into the bill. We could even ensure and protect Scotland's place as a fair trade nation in the bill, ensuring that we are considering sustainable development across the world when we import the food that we cannot grow ourselves. The fact that there is much vision in the bills before us feels like a missed opportunity. There is also a wider point here about the Scottish Government's legislative agenda. The cross-party group on international development last week heard about the prospect for a well-being and sustainable development bill, also promised in the SNP manifesto at the last election. That bill is apparently intended to ensure policy coherence on sustainable development within the Scottish Government's legislative and regulatory approaches to governing. How then are the principles of well-being and sustainable development not reflected within this bill? Will this bill have to be amended by that one? Of course, it is upon all of us here to foresee these problems and deal with them at a later stage. But I worry that it shows a lack of joining up thinking in the Scottish Government's approach to the framework it seeks to build. We must also ensure that this framework bill provides adequate room for this Parliament to scrutinise the Scottish Government's plan. As the several of these responded to the consultation on the bill have noted, this is another aspect that is sorely lacking from what we see in front of us. It was only a few weeks ago that many of us here were criticising the UK Internal Market Bill and the reliance on common frameworks that shut this Parliament out of decision-making on matters of great importance to Scotland. We should not accept another framework being created that shuts this Parliament out of decision and only adds an executive power. And this is something that needs dealing with in later stage. In conclusion, my assessment is that the principles behind this bill are admirable, but it is held back by a lack of imagination into the good that it could do, and by a lack of avenue for scrutiny when it comes to the involvement of this Parliament. Should we agree to it today, we should also take with us the determination to repair this at the later stage. On this basis, I'll be voting in favour of this general principle of this bill. Thank you.